Ich kann nichts hören.
Ich höre es.
Okay, komisch, ich konnte es nicht hören, aber damit haben jetzt hoffentlich alle das Intro-Video gesehen. Und ja, der Joachim Brunner vom Smallcap-Investor und meine Wenigkeit Michael Adams von Stock-Telegraph, wir wollen Sie recht herzlich begrüßen zum CEO-Roaster am 20. März 2014. Und wir haben einen speziellen Gast, und zwar den Mickey S. Fulp. Ist ein sehr bekannter Börsenbriefschreiber aus Nordamerika, auch bekannt unter dem Spitznamen The Mercenary Geologist. Warum? Das wird er uns vielleicht gleich sagen. Und ja, Joe, sag du was.
Ja, bevor wir... bin so ein Stress, weil ich auch die technischen Probleme gehabt habe. Auf einmal war mein Spreadsystem wieder weg. Ich hoffe, wenigstens die Aufzeichnung funktionieren. Ja, legen wir kurz einmal los. Sie wissen, Risikohinweise, Aktien, die heute empfohlen werden können, natürlich entweder über ER-Mandat, PR-Mandat von irgendeiner Partei, ja, könnte ein Interessenskonflikt bestehen. Manche Kunden sind auch bei uns Kunde vom World, Press und so weiter, und da könnte ein Interessenskonflikt sein. So, kommen wir zu unserer Person. Ich glaube, wir brauchen sie nicht mehr uns ungefähr vorzustellen. Wichtige, glaube ich, ist, der Herr Kollege spielt schon wieder mit den Größen.
Nein, ich war da nicht dran.
Ich auch nicht.
Ja,
Also
es ist, wie gesagt, das System ist heute wirklich unter aller Sau, Entschuldigung.
Ja. So, Mickey Fulp. Maybe Mickey, you can make an introduction by yourself. So, what you're doing in the past, and from which your source come your name, maybe. Mickey?
Well, I am an economic geologist with about 30 years of hard field experience in exploration, development, and mining. About 6 years ago, I established this business as an exploration and mining analyst. I came by the name by the fact that in geology there are no real jobs. We are all mercenaries for hire, and I just happened to be the one that coined that term and trademarked it, and it has proven to be a good move. It's hard to miss, I would suppose you might say.
Ja, vielleicht kurze Übersetzung. Also das Mercenary, vielleicht weiß nicht jeder, was das heißt Söldner. Mickey, I was just explaining the German translation of mercenary.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, I think we should, because we have a pretty a couple of companies you want to talk about, so I think let's just get into the details right now. And the first of your picks is Avrupa.
Yes, and I will preface my remarks. I'm going to speak about 5 different companies, and I am a shareholder of all those 5 companies, and they pay to sponsor my website. I must also say that I am not a certified financial advisor, so this is not a buy or sell recommendation on any of these companies. I just tell people what I do in the market. With that preference, very much like Avrupa Minerals, I am a founding shareholder. I own about 1% of the stock. I like it because it's tightly held with 38 million shares, 46% insiders, and it has recently made a discovery in Portugal. It runs a prospect generator model. It made this discovery in the Pyrite Belt, the first greenfields discovery in 20 years in one of the most productive districts in the world for copper and zinc, and the stock has responded. We picked it originally in 2010, 2011. It has recently gone, as you can see from the chart, from 11 cents to as high as 35 cents. It's now settled back into the mid 20-cent range. They will be drilling more holes, and I expect additional good results on this stock.
Okay, and Avrupa has a joint venture with Blackheath, and I think Blackheath is also one of the companies you like, right?
Well, yes, and I covered Blackheath early in its days. I do not cover it presently, but I remain a very committed shareholder. Avrupa also has a joint venture with Blackheath in the tin tungsten district of northern Portugal called Covas. Blackheath, I like that company because of its management and its tight share structure too. These are the same people that took primary metals from 15 cents to 3.75 on the London Stock Exchange in the mid-2000s. With the Panasqueira tungsten mine also in northern Portugal. I feel confident they will do it again.
Yeah, and that's why Joe and myself, we are both also shareholders of Blackheath, and we know Jim for quite some time, some years, and we are very much convinced that he will duplicate the success which he had with primary metals.
Well, I would agree, and I would also like to point out that I have known and done business with Jim Robertson since the late 1990s, so about 15 years business experience with Jim Robertson through previous companies he was involved with, including Riverstone Resources and Gateway Gold. I was a founding shareholder of Gateway Gold.
Oh, okay. Joe, anything to add from your end?
No, but Avrupa is also known. Peter Kuhn, I think
Paul Kuhn.
Paul Kuhn.
Yeah.
I think we do an interview with Paul Kuhn on the Mines and Money show. I think so.
I'm not sure if that was Mines and Money, but you did one last year. I'm not sure if it was Mines and Money,
I think
or
it was
maybe
Mines and Money in London.
Ja,
And if anybody interested ist, irgendeiner interessiert ist, kann das Video gern nachschauen. Bei mir auf dem YouTube-Channel unter Smallcap-Investor Talk. Gebt Sie einfach bei YouTube ein und dann kommen Sie schon auf das Paul Kuhn Avrupa Video. Yeah, no, I like the company again. So it's really it's a great company and have interesting model, and it's tough to deal with Paul. He's sitting on the cash and he's really focused what you're doing with the cash. Totally opposite. He do something opposite what other companies doing. You know, some companies are lifestyle companies for the management. Avrupa is for sure not this type of company.
Okay, so the second company, Mickey, that's Amir. I think that's Amir, Brazil Resources.
Yes, and you mentioned Amir. That's Amir Adnani, the chairman of board of Brazil Resources. I'm a very early on shareholder before this company went public, and I've covered it in the past, and we recently reinitiated coverage. It's got 72 million shares outstanding, 25% of that spread between management, 30% institutions, including Brazil Invest, one of the largest private funds in Brazil. They have two flagship gold properties in Brazil, which I consider to be an underexplored terrain for gold. These two flagship properties, plus a couple other, have a combined 3.9 million ounces of gold resources. Company is well cashed up at about $6.4 million. It has recently gone, as you can see from the chart, from a low of 42 cents during tax loss selling in December, as high as $1.44, now trading at 123. I am also involved with their management with another company we'll talk about a little bit later.
Right.
But I really like Brazil Resources as a consolidator and eventually a developer of gold mines in Brazil.
Mickey, can you maybe give us some more information about this high volume day in mid-February, where the stock jumped from around 75
I'm sorry,
to...
gentlemen, I have lost my audio.
Okay.
Okay, we can still hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm having very much trouble hearing you guys. Volume is very low.
Okay.
Don't know if we can remedy that.
No, there's nothing I guess we can do.
Yes, the high volume day in February, which really sent this stock soaring. Management is not really sure why that happened, but obviously people saw this as an undervalued stock. This was about 1 week after the new resources were announced, which increased their resources from something around 1.5 million ounces to 3.9 ounces. But the market has reacted very well to that.
Okay. That's kind of unusual because what you see sometimes is the opposite, that there is no news release, but the stock starts moving because all the insiders and friends and family already know about an upcoming good news release, and they try to, I wouldn't call it front run because that would be illegal, but most of the time there's already big trading activity and huge share price appreciation, let's say a couple of days before a news release. So actually this speaks for the quality of the management at Brazil Resources, that they kind of have Chinese walls, didn't tell outsiders what might come up, and it probably took a couple of days until the broader audience and the brokers really understood and recognized this essential new news release and the resource update, right?
Well, I appreciate your explanation. It makes sense to me, and I would also give credit to a man who I think is one of the best young entrepreneurs in our business, and that's Amir Adnani. And I would imagine that there was a road show going on or something to get the news out at that particular time.
Okay, yeah, Amir is pretty well known in Germany because of one of his other deals. I think you're going to talk about that soon. And he has been over to Germany a couple of times, telling the story, being on stage, attending resource shows in Germany. So a lot of German investors have probably already spoken with Amir in person. So the next stock on your agenda is, I cannot pronounce it, that Curis Resources?
Yes, and Curis Resources is a company I have been involved with since December of 2011. So a little bit more than 2 years now. It is a soon-to-be in situ recovery copper producer in southeast Arizona. I really like this company for a number of reasons. It is a Hunter Dickinson Group company, HDI now, so a good level of expertise in the mining business, ability to raise funds. It has a robustly economic project at Florence, Arizona, with a reserve of 2.4 billion pounds of copper. Once again, ISR in situ recovery, so it's a minefield much like the uranium producers in the western U.S. CapEx for this mine, $208 million. Operating costs all in for the mine life estimated at $1.11 per pound of copper, less than a 3-year payback, $500 million MPV, and a 29% after-tax internal rate of return, currently sitting with $26 million in cash to build the first phase of this mine. It is one permit shy of initiating construction. All materials are already bought and on site, and it has a very robust future, in my opinion, once this permit comes down, and we expect that very soon.
What's the market cap?
The market cap right now with 75 million shares outstanding, trading at about 90 cents, currently at 89. I'm doing the math in my head. That would give you a market cap of about $66 million if my math is right. $68 million. 18% held by insiders. An offtake contract with Red Kite, a relationship with Chinese, which we would expect would do an additional offtake contract.
But Mickey, was not this one permit that's still missing, was really that not, they have really some issues to get this?
No, there are really no issues. It's the EPA aquifer permit. It is basically signed and sealed pending an announcement. So I would expect this to happen very, very soon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let's switch to the next one, which is energy fuels.
Yeah, energy fuels is a very interesting story, and I'm going to tout my own horn here a bit. We picked this stock at $5.61. I see you have the Canadian price up there. I'm talking U.S. dollars, so whatever that is in Canadian. But we picked it on December 27th at $5.61 U.S. It has gone as high as $11.85. My subscribers got their double in 9 weeks on this stock, now trading at $10.66 U.S. Really like this stock. I came about my shareholdings through its takeover of Strathmore Minerals. It has 19.6 million shares outstanding, $16.7 million in cash, about a $37 million working capital. Of course, it's a uranium producer in the western U.S. KEPCO owns 9%. That's Korean Electric Power Company. Other institutions own about 10%. But why I really like this, it's highly leveraged to uranium price. It has the U.S.'s only conventional uranium mill, White Mesa in Blanding, Utah. It has an alternative feed circuit where it can process tails from other metal producers. Specifically, that would be Molycorp's rare earth mine in Mountain Pass, California. They process uranium tailings for that. And it can also accept intermediate products from the uranium conversion process. So very highly leveraged uranium price. Long-term contracts currently average $58 a pound. And once the uranium price increases, which we fully expect to happen once Japanese restarts, you're going to see energy fuels, in my opinion, take off once again.
Mickey, one question in general. What is your general feeling about uranium?
Well, I'm very bullish on uranium, not particularly in the short term, but certainly in the mid to long term. We just are not mining enough uranium to account for all the new reactors, 70 reactors being built. If listeners and watchers are interested, I wrote a piece which is available on my website called the Supply-Demand Fundamentals of Uranium. I wrote that in mid-December, and I would urge them to take a look at that. It's free on my website to get an idea of my long-term view on the uranium price.
Okay, and the website, by the way, is Mercenary Geologist, oneword.com, right?
That's correct, Michael.
Okay, perfect. And we are going to put a link under this video in the tape version. Okay, perfect. So, and now we are back to Amir, Uranium Energy. Haben wir jetzt wieder verloren? Mickey?
Yes, this is Uranium Energy Corp, one of my latest picks. This is available to my subscribers, my report on this company, but I must mention I run a free subscription service, so anyone can sign up as a subscriber by going to my website and clicking on my mugshot and giving me a name and an email address, and then you would get this report. Uranium Energy Corp, we referred to this when we were talking about Amir Adnani. He is the chairman, or excuse me, he's the CEO of this. Alan Lindsay, a mining pro, is the chairman of the board. This, as opposed to its peers, has not participated in the recent run-up of uranium stocks. We picked it at $1.77. Let's see, that would have been about a month ago. It is currently trading at 166, but it did reach a high of 204 before uranium stocks backed off. Once again, I like this stock. It's because it's tightly held, 20% insiders, nearly 50% institutions, has debt with Sprott and Li Ka-shing, the richest man in China, so solid people behind its $10 million debt and a $5 million line of credit. It is an ISR producer in South Texas at Palangana, running a hub and spoke operation, with the hub being the process facility called Hobson, and then they feed various satellite deposits, feed uranium into this centralized processing facility. It is developing another deposit, currently producing at Palangana, developing another spoke at Goliad, and then it is exploring and developing and permitting at another spoke called Burke Hollow, and Burke Hollow has potential to be the big resource in this operation.
Okay, and they are already in production. It's one of the latest companies that got into production in the United States. So what is their cost, like their all-in cost per pound of uranium? Do you know that?
Well, I do know their all-in cash costs, and that would be about, historically, somewhere around $22 to $23 per pound uranium, plus royalties, and they have various royalties on various projects. But certainly at the current $35 per pound spot price, this is not a particularly money-making operation. But we're playing Uranium Energy because of exposure to spot price, and the idea, once the spot price rebounds, which we fully expect, and we fully expect that to happen, and we would hope that would happen this year, then they are poised to ramp up very quickly. And so that's what's attractive about Uranium Energy Corp. In addition to the aforementioned fact, it has not seen the rise in price that its peer uranium ISR producers have in the United States since mid-December.
Okay. And again, Uranium Energy is also well known over here in Germany because of Amir coming over and presenting it to the audience. Maybe briefly, can we talk about let's say the general investment philosophy of you and your newsletter? It's not trading. It's more that you're trying to cherry pick undervalued companies that have good management, very promising projects that are in a safe jurisdiction and have some cash. Is that, like in a nutshell, is that what you're looking for?
Yes, and you said that very succinctly. We say it a little different. Tight share structure, management with experience and success in their experiences in our business, a flagship project or a prospect generator model, undervalued, and certainly cash or the ability to raise cash easily with dedicated strategic groups of investors. We run a philosophy of picking stocks when no one else wants them, a contrarian philosophy, and we urge our subscribers, as I do. I run a trading philosophy called the Power of Two, and that demands that when a stock doubles, you sell half, take all your money off the table
Right.
upon a double, and go and find another undervalued stock. We also program sell on the uptick. We program sell small tranches generally on the downtick too. So once we get our double, then we are continually taking profits in those stocks. Now, the companies I cover, I tend to hold longer than that because I want my subscribers to win, and certainly to win before I win. So I don't always trade the stocks when I would urge my subscribers to. But I'm a professional investor, and my risk level, I consider it to be much higher than the average retail lay investor, who are the people that we try to attract to this trading philosophy.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting, and that's an approach which is also very, I wouldn't say common, but is known in the German market. You have to sell half of your position when the stock has doubled, to take out your money from the table, look for a new investment opportunity, and the rest is kind of stocks for free, right? Wherever it goes, everything's for free.
Absolutely, and it's a philosophy that I've employed since I first got involved in the Canadian junior resource sector in 1992, and it has rewarded me very handsomely over the course of 22 years in picking and speculating in junior resource stocks.
Mickey, before we come to the question round, maybe we can talk a little bit about what is your general outlook for the precious metal gold and silver, or what is your favorite commodity in general?
Yes, I would say my favorite commodity right now is uranium, because as a contrarian, I find it the most beaten up and the one that most people are not considering. I'm very bullish on copper, on the mid to long term copper market, basically because we are adding 80 million people a year to the planet. Most of those are being added in remote places, especially in Eastern Asia. You need copper to electrify, and 25% of the world's population still goes to bed when it gets dark and gets up when it gets light. And so electrification, especially of Eastern Asia, is coming, and it requires copper. As mentioned before, I'm a shareholder of Blackheath Resources, so I'm obviously bullish on tungsten. I am probably less bullish on gold and silver. I chose in January of 2011 to take most of my money out of the gold business. I thought gold stocks were overbought. We have since entered back into it, but I'm comfortable with the price of gold where it is right now. My position would be, if you can't make money as a gold miner at $1,300 gold, then you probably should not be in the gold business. I like when gold shows volatility, because I'm a person who hoards gold. I buy gold when on dips. I have at least 10 to 20% of my net wealth in physical gold in my physical possession at all times. The gold equities market needs the gold miners to get their houses in order and make money and declare dividends and reward their shareholders before the gold exploration junior business will get back on its feet.
Especially copper has in the last 2 days very substantial downtrend, especially from China, and a lot of rumors that maybe a lot of copper the Chinese people need to secure some debts and now somebody going bankrupt and all the debt coming, or the banks put this copper into the market from the security. So do you for me, pretty sure was really new that the Chinese people really, or the company, use copper for securing their debt. And this is, what is your view to this situation?
Well, notice that I said I was a mid to long-term bull on copper. I did not say in the short term. I think copper will be range-bound. Certainly this copper as collateral for debt, it's actually been fairly well known amongst copper traders and speculators for quite some time. We have noticed that warehouse inventories have gone way down over the last year. Not only the LME, but the COMEX and the Shanghai. That copper was being stored someplace, and obviously not in bonded warehouses. But the copper business is very much dependent on, number one, it's the most speculative commodity space in the world, in my opinion, even more so than silver. It is one of the biggest speculative markets, futures and options. It also reflects in the near term the economic situation in the world. So as growth slows down in China, the copper longs get nervous and the copper shorts come in, and we see the price fall. At the present level of $2.93 copper, there will be production that comes off because there are certain high-cost copper producers that are not economic at less than $3 copper. So that's not saying that copper could not fall. It could fall below 275. We've seen it fall drastically during 2008, but all in all, the copper market looks very healthy, and I am very bullish on the copper market in the mid to long term. I am less concerned with the day-to-day or month-to-month perturbations on copper. I expect it to be choppy. I expect it to be range-bound for the next year or so. But the fact remains we are not finding and producing enough copper on a yearly basis to meet demand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think it's time to come
now,
to the
maybe
question.
I have one other question, because I know that we have one of our listeners. He's very much interested in iron ore. So do you have any opinion on iron ore?
Well, I will be very honest and tell you that I do not follow the iron market, the iron ore market. I know probably enough about it to be dangerous, so I will choose to pass on that question.
Perfect. No worries. No worries. Okay, so hier ist auch nochmal die Webseite unten, also www.mercenarygeologist.com, und da wir ja kein Video haben von Mickey Fulp, hier auch nochmal ein Foto von ihm. So sieht er dann aus. Ja, das kann ich auch bestätigen. Wir haben ihn jetzt getroffen auf der PDAC.
Haben wir auch ein Video gemacht.
Ein Video haben wir auch gemacht, auch beim Joe auf beim Smallcap-Investor Talk auf YouTube zu sehen. Ja, und wir starten auch gleich mit der Fragerunde, da werden wir den Chat aufmachen. Wir haben allerdings vorab schon ein paar Fragen per E-Mail bekommen, die wir jetzt ganz schnell nochmal durchgehen wollen. So Mickey, the first question from the audience, which was submitted to us on email prior to this conference, is: should I still invest in fission uranium at this price? And who could be the next fission? And because we already talked about the price of uranium and that you're long-term positive on uranium, but yeah, would you still buy fission? And if not, or if yes, who could be the next fission? Habe ich jetzt zu viel erzählt?
Ich weiß nicht. Mickey, are you here?
Well, at this price, I am not buying fission, and once again, I'm not a certified financial advisor, so I will decline to give a recommendation on that. But fission uranium, no doubt. I've owned fission uranium 2 or 3 times in the past and made good money at it. It has a major deposit in the southwest Athabasca. Who could be the next fission? Well, anybody that's exploring around that southwest Athabasca area. I've taken a look at Forum Uranium. They have a good chance. NextGen, the Western Athabasca Syndicate. I might also suggest another company that's of interest would be CanAlaska, who is not particularly focused in southwest Athabasca, but has some interesting projects in the eastern Athabasca and Manitoba. There's lots of companies that could be the next fission. Where will the price of uranium be in 2014? Higher, I would say. I will hesitate to give a specific price, but I would hope that we would see a $40 price by the end of the year and a much better price in 2015.
Okay, perfect. Next question. If you're familiar with Exeter Resources, my readers are, because I'm following the story for the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And there was always speculation that Exeter will be taken over because their big Caspiche project in Chile is right next door to a project of Barrick and Kinross. So do you have any opinion if they will be ever taken over or if they can go into production themselves, if you are familiar with Exeter?
Well, I am familiar with Exeter. I have known Yale Simpson for quite some time. In my opinion, the real flagship for Exeter was the project in Argentina, which they sold. The project in the Maricunga, I have been in the Maricunga belt of Chile. Those projects are too low grade and too high capex, in my opinion, to be developed in my lifetime. That would include Barrick Kinross's Cerro Casale. That would include Exeter's Cerro Caspiche. I do not consider those to be economic deposits. That said, Exeter has a big amount of cash, and that is why they are an attractive candidate, perhaps for takeover or assimilation or M&A or something. It's my opinion they will, in my lifetime, you will not see those projects in Chile developed. They're just too low grade and not economic.
I partly agree. I was talking to the new CEO, Wendell Zerb, who took over from Yale and Bryce, I think a year ago. And they are now following a little bit different strategy. They are focusing just on the oxide part of the big deposit, which is more high grade, and the capex are way lower. But I totally agree. The fantasy coming into Exeter is probably because of the big cash position and what they're going to do with it. Yeah, when I would, if I can speculate, I would say they are trying to buy another, let's say, high-grade project and duplicate what they did with Extorer. Yeah, like develop the project and then spin it out into a new separate entity and just do what they did with Extorer. Is that something which you consider to be possible? Ich glaube, wir haben einfach eine Zeitverzögerung drin, Joe.
Das vermute ich auch schon. Ja, New Mexico ist doch auch ein breiter Weg.
Genau. Mickey, are you still with us? Sonst gehen wir mal weiter, was ja jetzt nicht viel bringt, wenn er nicht da ist. Aber Mickey, if you are still with us, please. Joe, zu Silver Wheaton kannst du was sagen, weil...
ja, genau, weil vielleicht kommt der Mickey dann auch zurück. In der Vorbesprechung mit Mickey hat er gesagt, zu Silver Wheaton kann er nichts sagen. Silver Wheaton, für viele, die das Company nicht kennen, die gehen eigentlich das Royalty Stream oder Production Stream Modell. Das heißt, sie kaufen sich bei anderen Firmen ein. Sie wissen ja, so eine Mine kostet ja relativ viel Geld. Die Firmen suchen, wenn sie in Produktion gehen, ja, müssen das Geld irgendwo auftreiben. Was machen die? Sie gehen teilweise zu Wheaton und die bezahlen, die geben denen einen großen Teil der Finanzierung. Dafür bekommen sie halt einen Teil der Produktion. In dem Fall, am Anfang war Wheaton sehr stark spezialisiert auf Silber, kriegen sie dieses Silber normalerweise zu Cashkosten. Deswegen ist Wheaton einer der niedrigst produzierenden Rohstoff-Companies. Das Unternehmen selber hat vor kurzem nur 26 Mitarbeiter gehabt. Das heißt, es wird nichts Operatives getan, sondern was sie tun, ist, wie soll man sagen, ich meine, die Projekte zu evaluieren ist natürlich auch schwer genug, aber es sind 26 Mitarbeiter, die einen Milliardenkonzern eigentlich leiten. Also sie kriegen die Differenz der Cashkosten und zum Silberpreis, der jetzt besteht, einfach aus Cash auch ausbezahlt, und das macht das Ganze eigentlich ganz, ganz spannend. Sie sind auch ein bisschen dran der Erweiterung, das heißt, sie schauen sich auch andere Projekte an außerhalb des Silberbereichs. Es sind die ersten Projekte kommen im Gold.
Ja, jetzt ist der Joe Brunner auch weg. Und also dieses System ist im Moment, es tut uns echt leid. Ja, wir hängen halt hier von dem Street-System ab. Wir sollten vielleicht wirklich mal überlegen, ob wir zu einem der anderen Systeme wechseln, aber die sind auch nicht besser. Ja, also anscheinend Videokonferenz im Internet, jedenfalls auf nicht super Profi-Niveau, wo man halt ja, Equipment und Technik für mehrere 10.000 Euro hat, scheint noch ein Markt zu sein, wo sich mal irgendwer, der sich da auskennt, umtun sollte, und naja, wie auch immer. Also Wheaton, Joe hat dazu was gesagt, er versucht, glaube ich, wieder reinzukommen. Ja, ich stehe jetzt natürlich ein bisschen doof da, aber weil die Fragen für den Mickey Fulp sind. Mickey? Mickey? Ah. Mickey Fulp scheint auch.
Yes.
Okay.
My microphone went out, but I am back now. So
Okay.
the question I see on the screen is, what's the best rare earth company around? Is that where
Right.
we are at?
Yeah, that's where we're at. I was just telling a little bit like my opinion on Exeter, but that's done. I discussed that. Joe was giving his opinion on Wheaton, so you're exactly back at the right point in time, talking or telling us what is the best rare earth company around in your humble opinion.
Well, I would submit that would be Tasman Metals with the Norra Kärr deposit in Sweden. Since we got in very early in the rare earth sector with the 4 companies that eventually got New York Stock Exchange listings, I have become more and more bearish on rare earths companies, basically because of metallurgical difficulties. I am a very early on shareholder of Tasman. I covered them for a couple of years. I think they have the best chance of succeeding, but that will be a mid to longer term project. The thing I like about Tasman is they have now picked up some tungsten plays. They may merge with a sister company in graphite space. They are positioning themselves to become a specialty metals company in Northern Europe, and I think that is unique and probably the best business philosophy you could develop in the specialty metals sector at this point.
Okay, what's the symbol of Tasman?
Tasman on the Toronto Exchange is TSM, and on the New York Stock Exchange market, it is TAS.
Okay, also TSM und in Toronto und das andere habe ich jetzt vergessen. Also einfach mal nachschauen. Ist mir jetzt selber, ich habe es doch schon mal gehört, aber nicht im Detail bekannt.
Nee, okay. Tessmann ist relativ viel auch früher gemacht in Deutschland. Sie waren auch auf einige Shows und Tasman ist wirklich eine gute Company, die gefällt mir auch.
Ja, also mein Spezialist oder mein Favorite im Rare Metal Bereich ist ja die Ucore, insbesondere jetzt durch das Bond, 145 Millionen, was das Alaska Government jetzt dazu gesagt hat. Aber da gibt es Informationen zu im Stock-Telegraph Newsletter. Heute geht es ja hauptsächlich um den Mickey Fulp. Okay, Mickey, let's switch to the next question. Do you have a target price for first Majestic? And the other question from the same reader is, what is going to happen to Osisko? Do you have any opinion on this?
Well, I don't follow First Majestic, so I will pass on a target price, obviously, on that company. I am familiar with what they do, and they're one of the better silver producers in Mexico. What will happen to Osisko? Well, I don't think Goldcorp's going to get them at the current price offer. The shareholders will not support that. Osisko obviously was hoping a white knight would come and make a better offer. So far, we haven't seen that. Not sure what's going to happen, but certainly Osisko is in a good position at this time. The Goldcorp offer, I'm sure, will be rejected, and they will continue to produce gold one way or the other.
That's right.
Okay, so the next question would be, okay, back to silver. Would you rather buy SantaCruz or Silvercrest? They're both producers with projects in Mexico. Or would you prefer any other junior silver producer?
Well, my choice there would be Silvercrest, basically because I know the management. I have known Eric Fear since 1985. I think that's almost 30 years now. I think very highly of his ability, not only as an engineer, but also as a geologist. They have a track record of economic silver and gold production. They are expanding right now. Certainly Silvercrest would be my favorite in junior silver space, not only for their management, but their projects and their location in safe jurisdictions in Mexico.
Okay. The next question would be, which Canadian junior oil stock do you like best? And oil is not one in your main focus, but you told us before that you have one company you like in special.
Well, I actually own, I think, four Canadian junior oil stocks. So it is not my focus, but I'm a resource commodities guy, so I'm always looking for opportunities, and certainly in the oil and gas business, I'm always looking for opportunities. My favorite company would be East West Petroleum, EW, on the Toronto Venture Exchange, with a JV with Tag Oil in New Zealand. Tremendous success lately. 500 barrel a day well drilled, and also a very early on play in Romania that they are doing 3D seismic on now, and assets in Central California in the heavy oil districts. That project is available for joint venture. A well-run company, a cashed-up company, and the future looks good. The stock has not performed very well. It's been stuck in the range-bound area of 40 or 50 cents for quite some time. But look for better things with East West Petroleum as the word gets out. I should also say I'm a shareholder of that company.
Ah, okay. Ja, also dazu sage ich noch mal ganz kurz was. Also mein Favorite bei den Canadian Junior Oil Stocks ist ja die Avrupa Energy, die ich auch schon seit einiger Zeit covere, wo wir am Anfang ziemlich hohe Gewinne gemacht haben, von ich glaube 30 Cent hoch auf 90 Cent. Jetzt sind wir wieder im Bereich 30 Cent. Ich glaube aber, dass jetzt die Company eigentlich die Hausaufgaben im Jahr 2013 gemacht hat und dass 2014 wesentlich, also vom Aktienkurs her wesentlich besser sein sollte. Fundamental hat eigentlich die Firma auch in 2013 wenige Fehler gemacht. Ich will nicht sagen alles richtig, aber wenige Fehler gemacht. Joe, du hast auch einen Favorite Oil Pick?
Ich habe viele Oil Picks, ich bin ja eigentlich ein Oil Bug.
Nimm mal einen.
Nee, ich möchte wandern, muss man gleich einen Rundumschlag machen.
Okay.
Also von den kleinen gefällt mir momentan relativ gut und die ist ja auch gut gelaufen, die Blackbird Energy und auch die Pennant. Blackbird übernimmt gerade Pennant, das könnte wirklich, die haben 3 Projekte, die eines davon bin mir ziemlich sicher, das zieht und das ist ein Company Maker. Von den großen Companies spiele ich gerade im also im Gasbereich, die Southwestern Energy, 15 Milliarden Company, also nichts Kleines und schon gar kein Smallcap. Die produzieren primär nur Gas und Gas ist ja angesprungen aufgrund des kalten Winters in den USA. Die Preise sind bis März nächsten Jahres sehr hoch, das heißt, dort werden wir eigentlich um 30-40% höhere Gewinne sehen und keiner bohrt noch Gas. Also dieser spricht eigentlich dafür. Und wenn man generell noch Öl anschaut, dann würde ich mir die Pacific Ethanol anschauen. Ist zwar kein Ölproduzent, sondern Ethanolproduzent, aber der Kornpreis ist kollabiert. Ethanolpreis muss ja zugemischt werden, so wie in Deutschland auch, also 10% wird dazu gemischt. Die Margen explodieren, weil Ethanol natürlich auch am Ölpreis hängt. Und der Kornpreis ist aber kollabiert, also von daher gehen die Margen nach oben und die Pacific Ethanol hat jetzt ungefähr hat sich schon 100% zugelegt, muss man auch dazu sagen, aber hat jetzt der KGV oder KCV, muss man eigentlich sagen, von 3, also das ist eigentlich, die müsste meines Erachtens sich nochmal verdoppeln und dann wäre es eigentlich erst fair bewertet.
Okay.
Das waren meine.
Mickey, the last of the questions we got prior to this webinar is, what's your general feeling about investing or investments and projects in Africa?
Well, I will be very blunt in my answer to that and say I have never owned a stock or participated actively in Africa because of what I perceive as geopolitical risk in Africa, with one exception, and that would be I was a small shareholder in Riverstone Resources, but at one time, and I do not have a good feeling about Africa. The countries are all very risky. There is widespread corruption. There is tribal warfare, so all in all, I tend to stay away from Africa.
Okay, fair enough. Joe, du hattest ja noch auch ein paar Fragen, die jetzt nicht in der Präsentation drin sind.
Ja, die sind, ich habe natürlich auch ein paar Fragen bekommen, wobei 2 Fragen, die haben wir im Vorfeld schon ausgeblendet, weil er dazu keine Meinung hat. So, Mickey, I get also some question, and one is the question, where is here? Yeah, what is your general outlook for cobalt, and what do you think about formation metals?
Well, I am not a proponent of cobalt as a speculative venture, basically because the cobalt market is controlled by 4 or 5 big smelting companies, nickel and copper smelters in the world. I have known the management of Formation Capital, Formation Cobalt, Formation Metals, whatever it is called now. I've known Marianne Green and Scott Benning for going on 20 plus years. I think very highly of those people. I think think very highly of their ability to stick with a project for so long. But cobalt is a very difficult metal because it does not lend itself, I do not think, to small junior ability to finance and produce and sell the metal on the open market.
Ja, ich glaube, wir sollten eigentlich den Chat noch öffnen.
Ja, wir machen jetzt den Chat auf und während der Joe das macht, also Sie können jetzt gerne, ich tue es euch einfach mal, ihr könnt jetzt gerne eure Fragen, falls ihr denn welche habt. Markus, du übrigens auch, ne? Obwohl der Mickey ja kein Spezialist für Iron Ore ist. Aber
ist der Chat schon sichtbar? Das ist jetzt die Frage. Ah, ja, okay.
Ja, ich glaube schon. Ich wollte nur ganz kurz noch was anderes sagen. Ich habe ja so viel Kritik bekommen, dass ich immer so viel rauche, ja. Und mal was ganz Privates von mir. Also ich habe wirklich sehr viel geraucht, bin jetzt umgestiegen auf diese E-Zigaretten, ja. Ob das gesünder ist, weiß ich auch nicht. Aber die sind wirklich gut. Also wer da Interesse dran hat, schreibt mir eine E-Mail, kann ich euch ein paar Infos zu geben. So.
First question. Excelsior Mining. Is Excelsior a good alternative to Curis Resources?
Yes, that's Excelsior Mining. I question the efficacy of their recent pre-feasibility studies. The metallurgy was not very complete. The ability to produce copper in the Johnson Camp I-10 district is suspect because mines have failed repeatedly there. In addition, I am very much not a fan of the management of Excelsior Mining, and I will leave it at that. Not a company that I would ever choose to own.
Ja, ist auch eine Aussage.
Ja, ist ja auch, wie gesagt, ist ja ein gutes Recht, seine Meinung kundzutun. Und ja, sicherlich hast du oder ich auch Aktien, die wir jetzt nicht so wirklich gut finden. Und dann soll man das, finde ich, auch sagen. Gut,
Yes.
Joe,
Ja.
du musst bitte die Fragen vorlesen. Ich kann die nicht wirklich sehen.
Ja, du kannst sie nicht sehen. Interessant. There's only one question is Plate and Horizont. I think Plate Resources and Horizont.
I think that's stocks which Helmut Pollinger is covering in his Bulvestor. Yeah. Are you familiar with those companies? Plate or Plate? It's spelled Plate. And the other one is Horizon.
No, I'm not familiar with either of those companies.
Okay, fair enough. Also sorry, kennt ihr nicht, hat euch aber sicherlich der Helmut Pollinger im Bulvestor, da könnt ihr, falls ihr den noch nicht kennt oder wer jetzt sich für die Aktien interessiert, unter bulvestor.com kann man sich für den kostenfreien Newsletter anmelden und soweit ich da informiert bin, schreibt der Herr Pollinger aktuell über beide Aktien.
Here's one question about small and micro caps and at the actual situation on the market and the liquidity, and what is by your investment strategy a minimum criteria that a company must have that is not too risky to invest, especially from the cash position. For example, the people write 2 million cash. Do you have some criteria what a company must have that you say, okay, that's not too risky and I can invest?
Gentlemen, I lost my audio for a bit there. I think I am back now.
Okay, the question is, small and micro cap have really a problem with the actual resource area, and especially from the from the cash position side. So, do you have minimum investment criteria that the company must have that you will invest? For example, minimum 2 million cash or something.
Well, I don't think there are any hard numbers that can be put on that, but I certainly look for companies in this environment with cash in the bank or the ability to raise cash without diluting current shareholders drastically. So that's why, if you will notice, the companies that I cover all are very tightly held. They have ability to raise cash if they don't have cash in the bank. And I would use Avrupa Minerals as an example there. It doesn't have much cash right now, but it has a group of strategic angel investors that will continue to support that stock, especially now they've made a discovery and have a higher stock price.
So there is I don't understand really right the question. It's from the same people. It's going especially for refinance and product financing, especially with higher capex. And what is your general feeling for the market, for the companies, that is it possible to refinance or cash finance higher projects with higher capex?
Oh, I think I get the drift there. I think he's asking, is it possible in this environment to get financing for mine development for high capex projects? And I would say not with traditional sources. We have seen the banks go away, the public equity funds go away, but what we see now is we see increasingly private hedge funds, equity funds. We see innovative financings, offtake contracts, royalty sales, private hedge, sovereign wealth funds, government-supported, especially the Chinese. So all is not lost for high capex financings, but it's very difficult in this market, and a significant number of projects cannot be financed in this market. But a good project with robust economics and a metal that's in demand can always be financed one way or the other.
Okay, and here's one, or the last question is about Azincourt. You know company Azincourt?
Certainly I know Azincourt. They have a joint venture in the southwest Athabasca with a spin out from Fission Energy, what used to be Fission Energy, now Fission Uranium, Fission 3.0. Azincourt is, if memory serves, is run by the same people that owned Avrupa Minerals, Ben Ainsworth. I know Ben. He is one of the best uranium geologists around. So I neglected to mention Azincourt when someone asked me about other companies that might be the next Fission, and certainly I would think that Azincourt might be one of those companies.
Okay. Yeah, I think...
so we should come to an end. We are now like 60 minutes, which is a good time, and especially we sometimes have these technical problems. Yeah, first of all, Mickey, thank you very much for your insight. That was really, really interesting, not only for Joe and myself, but I guess also for the audience, because this is kind of a original view from North America, yeah, and you probably have some other connections to the companies than we have. So is there any final word you want to say to the German audience, besides that they're invited to subscribe to your newsletter? Again, the website is www.mercenarygeologist.com. Natürlich könnt ihr auch gerne euch bei meinem Börsenbrief Stock-Telegraph.com, Stock-Telegraph.com anmelden, oder ihr kriegt ein kostenfreies 3-monatiges Probeabo vom Joe Brunners Smallcap-Investor.de. Yeah, Mickey, some final words?
Well, yes, I thank you very much for the opportunity to reach out to a German audience, which I have not been afforded in the past, and I certainly hope to be able to do more work and attract more speculators to our business through Germany. One thing I would like to say is to become a subscriber, it's for free, so the price is right. I run a sponsor model, so I'm not dependent on paying subscribers. We now have over 6,700 subscribers, most of those in the United States and Canada. We very much cater to the retail lay investor. And I also run a Twitter feed at Mercenary Geo. We have over 35,000 Twitter followers, and we have a lot of fun with Twitter. So I would encourage people to take a look at my Twitter page also. And once again, guys, thanks very much for the opportunity. I look forward to doing this again. That was a lot of fun.
I think so too. And next time we will work on that. We also get you on video.
Well, I'm not sure if that's a bonus or not to get to see my bald head and my old wrinkled sunburned face, but I am amenable to doing that in the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Joe,
you, Mickey.
Das deutsche Outro kannst du jetzt noch machen.
Ja, danke, dass Sie teilgenommen haben, auch wenn wir eine Menge technische Probleme gehabt haben. Ich bin ja selber auch, glaube ich, zweimal rausgeflogen. Und jetzt, wo das erledigt ist, raucht auch der Kollege Adams gleich auch eine richtige Zigarette.
Eine richtige Zigarette, genau.
Unglaublich. Ja, das war's auch schon wieder. Viel Spaß noch, viel Vergnügen, schönen Abend. Und in den nächsten Tagen ist der Zusammenschnitt hoffentlich, wenn alles geklappt hat mit der Technik, auch tatsächlich online. Viel Vergnügen, schönen Abend.